the movie, which I don't know how accurate it is, but they collect every bit of feces from each person. It's labeled because you pick the person who's going at that time. They bag it. They have to bring it all back with them because they can't leave the waste. So
can you imagine the smell of that?
God, but
station?
yeah, they individually packaged every single one of them.
Nasty.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But that was a movie. I don't know how accurate it is, but I'm probably pretty close to how it works.
Yeah,
For sure.
Probably, but I don't understand because they're in a full outfit. Like, is
Full
it a little
outfit.
slit in the back, like they go into the outhouse? Or...
I'd crap myself before I even got the thing.
Yeah, well, they're probably. I don't think they're going to the bathroom. And when they're in the shuttle themselves, they're not in their outfit all the time.
Oh,
No, that's when they get to take it off because
Yeah.
they're pressurized.
So
somehow.
when they're
do they do a striptease act when they're taking it off?
can you imagine stripping in zero
Yeah,
gravity? That
that'd
would
be
be
kinda
kind of fun.
bizarre.
So
Parts would be
kinda fun.
flying everywhere.
when you see those movies and you see like just pencils floating and you see everything
Yeah.
floating, they never show fecal matter floating.
That's true.
Right?
Or a dick, like yeah, like you don't like it's not flying in the air a
Never.
little bit.
No.
And boobs like hitting people in their faces.
I was thinking
you know?
never.
more boobs. But
Oh, see, of course, I was thinking dick.
yeah.
Well,
I don't really.
Thank God,
I don't have
thinking
dick on the brain, really.
Thank
but
God. Thank God.
Mine's just
so
in a
I
box.
was at the new Nordstrom's at Ridgedale.
New
Anybody-
Nordstrom's? How is that?
It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
And we're hanging out there, and it was a fiasco. I was trying to get a free shirt because they gave us the wrong size. So I
They
was
really
just
did
not
a
free.
lot to that place.
Yeah, it was beautiful. But we're standing there. Of course, we're seeing a bajillion people we know, right? And somebody walks in with their fucking dog in there. Like
What?
Yeah. He's like, yeah, called. We knew him. And we're like, dude, what's with the dog? I called and asked if I could bring my dog in. Like, did you clarify that you weren't like a
It wasn't a rescue
blind
dog.
person?
It
Yeah,
wasn't
it
a
wasn't.
rescue dog,
It
right?
was weird. It was
That is
really weird.
weird.
Then we went up to the restaurant. They have cocktails there. Did you know that?
I heard cock.
That's sweet ass. That
Cock-
was fun.
yeah.
Super good cocktails on top
What?
of it.
Nice. What
Yeah,
did you,
the food was like okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the salad was smaller than it was at the other place. but that's
Ridgedale
okay.
used to be like sort of the armpit of all the malls, right?
Yeah.
Brookdale, sorry, no offense, but they
Yeah.
closed Brookdale down.
Ye- They did.
I
Oh
would
my
say
God.
Southdale got pretty bad. Ridgedale was better than Southdale
You
for a
know,
long. Still is. Southdale's getting better, but Southdale is bad.
Southdale, yeah, they're having trouble filling
Are
that
they?
place. But I love that Macy's for some reason.
Macy's is
I
cool.
love it. It's awesome. So I think we really need to talk a little bit about like a really important person in my life, Ross Wayback.
For sure. You guys, Fun Bobby here to talk about another really cool show on Alive and Social Network. It's The Good Podcast with Ross Wayback, a really cool guy, very hip, has his own little bit on Fox 9, all things lifestyle, loves talking about food, super creative with food, super sexy guy, if I can say that. Guys, check him out, Fridays, 10:30 in the morning, The Good Podcast on Alive and Social. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, we got Dan Israel. He was our guest this week, which we pre-recorded, and Bobby and I had a fabulous time interviewing him. He is an amazing artist.
guy.
Amazing artist in the music industry, writing, performing great songs for the last 15 years. Whether it's a full band or a solo act, he is unbelievable. His sounds are badass. Releasing his 13th album, Dan. His CD release party is Friday, December 4th. That would be tomorrow.
Check it out, everybody.
Yeah, at the 331 Club. But he likes tips, and he'd prefer for you to kind of make a purchase of a CD. Listen in.
Guys, Not So Kosher, we're really stoked right now. Dan Israel, songwriter, currently based in Minneapolis. His song Come to Me won Song of the Year in 2005 Minnesota Music Awards. 2006 named Songwriter of the Year. City Pages named you the Best Acoustics Performer 2005. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Israel, thank you so much for taking time to come in today on this Hallows Day. Tell us real quick, first question, big plans for Halloween?
Huge plans, just huge.
What do you
Gonna
got going
paint
on?
the town. No,
Orange.
I'm gonna trick or treat with my kids for a half hour.
Are you
I
ju-
don't, you know,
you
they want to
dressing up?
trick or treat on their own too. They don't want dad the whole time. So
Well, it's such an honor for us to have you. You kind of class up our Not So Kosher today, but thank you so much again. We love that we have, it's kind of like a celebrity for me because I've listened to your music for a long time. I'm a St. Louis Park guy. Grew up in
it's
St.
like
Louis
a
Park.
celebrity.
Well, I
Right.
feel like
Okay.
No, you're our local
Thank
celebrity.
you. Thank you.
Dan,
Appreciate that.
two decades, 2+ decades in the industry. Give us some perspective on that.
I've lost all perspective. I just keep doing this. I don't know what propels, me anymore other than just, yeah, it feels good to play music. It feels good to, get it out, get out my everything, all my emotions and music, and then it also gives me like a purpose, to put out a new album. It's like it's like having a baby, except
Ooh.
except it's not like having a
Doesn't
baby.
quite hurt as much, probably.
I don't even purport to know what that's like, but I have seen it up close, and yes.
I have a big question for
Yeah.
you. Well, I know the audience can't see you, but you are like so super hot.
Oh.
And, I just kind of like wonder, what do you do? Like, how do you handle all the men and women and everybody else pawing at you? Is it rough? I mean,
I don't even know how to answer that because, first of all, it doesn't happen.
Second of all,
come on now.
that was my question.
because you really.
that was my next question.
But it's
Sorry.
nice of you to suggest that I'm attractive.
Oh,
and,
hot. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Whoever's got you is damn lucky.
I'm on the Dan Israel diet, which is
Tell us. Bobby and I always want to know.
work a full-time job, have a music career, have 2 young kids, commute 2 hours a day, and run around like crazy your whole life.
Where are you commuting to?
I work in St. Paul and I live in St. Louis Park. I've worked at the Capitol for almost 20 years, so that's my day job is at the state Capitol.
Well, I'm going to have to give you the shortcut way to do that.
Underground,
2 hours,
is
yeah,
it?
just
Or-
about. Well, we have a subway that no one knows about.
Well, I'd like to hear more about that. Yeah, 2 hours. That's a little exaggeration.
Yeah.
But I'm in traffic. I'm in my car a
sorry.
lot, so
That
it's okay.
sucks. It sucks.
It's alone time for
Yeah,
me too.
it's good. You probably think and do some good thinking.
I
and
do
it's
good thinking.
Good. I know that your musical career started with you being a little pianist, and then
Careful there.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to be careful, and then I have to say slowly so I don't screw that up.
Small pianist or big pianist?
A big pianist, I
Okay.
think.
I was young, so
Well, you're Jewish, though.
yes.
Then you found the beauty and the sounds of the guitar. Are there other instruments that you play? I know that you do some harmonica, but
Yeah. I'm an amateur harmonica player. I've played some bass on my records, and I played one record. I even played drums. That wasn't necessarily the greatest drumming you've ever heard on a record, but I kind of liked it. It was fun. That was my self-titled album. Came out 10 years ago. Wow, now. But
That's cool.
but no, I took piano lessons as a kid, and then I really wanted to play guitar, so I got somehow we found this sort of hippie woman who lived above, like over by the Park Theater.
was she fully dressed when she
She
was
was
teaching
always
you?
fully dressed.
Okay, that's a good
yes.
thing because sometimes I know that's
But
an
she
issue.
was perhaps slightly in the world of alternative living, but I don't really know. I was young, so I don't really know. But she taught me Space Oddity by David Bowie.
Cool. So
that-
you were
I remember that. I don't think I had a big crush on her, but
Okay. You'd probably
it was
remember.
still a little strange being 11 or 12 years old and going to this woman's apartment for private guitar lessons.
Ooh,
but-
sounds
it
sexy
sounds
to me.
really sexy. It was kind of sexy.
So Dan, if
Mm-hmm.
you could be a musical instrument, what would you be, and who would you want to play you?
Well, I would be a guitar. I wouldn't stray from my favorite instrument. I would still want to be a guitar.
Who would you want to stroke
who would I
you
want
or,
to
no,
play me?
how do yeah, okay.
Jimmy Page comes to mind.
Oh,
Jimmy Page.
excellent.
You
No,
guys
I
are the
would-
music
Excellent.
ones.
Zeppelin.
It just
Oh,
yeah.
okay,
I would.
okay.
I think Keith Richards, Pete Townsend, Jimmy Page, those the classic Dave Gilmour. I don't know.
That's
all
kind
those
of cool.
kind of
I
great.
love that. I love that.
I could say a Beatle too, but Beatles for me
Which
is more about songwriting than guitar playing. Even though George was phenomenal, so
Interesting. That's interesting.
Little-
Thank you.
little
Thank you
Jimmy
for
Page
telling us
there.
about that. Thanks for the background down there, G.
Very
Love
nice.
that. Can you share a
Mm-hmm.
story with us of what happens when the bar closes and the girls are hanging out in the back alley?
I don't remember that happening too much, but
Really?
But sometimes people have had a lot of alcohol at bars.
Shocking.
So I suppose there have been times in my life where that was sort of you could maybe describe the post-show scene as slightly debauchery.
Is that you,
But
Bobby?
these days, it's not nearly as wild and crazy as people perhaps imagine it to be.
I got to say that, being that you weren't quite familiar with Bobby when you saw his face tonight. He was one of the ones in the back alley waiting.
Here's a good
I'm
segue
just
because
teasing.
at the end of the night, closing time, I just wanted to know if, like you and Dan Wilson, have ever collaborated, talked about a collaboration.
I've met Dan. Yeah. I like Dan. He's a great guy. Obviously, he's done sort of well for himself.
But St. Louis Park
In St. Louis Park, we could talk all day just about what's the deal with St. Louis Park. Like, why
so many talented people.
Why is St. Louis Park?
It's the water.
Some people have said the water. I think, let's
Everybody
be
knows
honest, there's a
each
lot
other.
of Jewish people from
gonna
St.
say
Louis
all the
Park.
great Jewish
but
people.
Dan Wilson, the Wilsons are an exception to that. Not everybody notable from St. Louis Park is Jewish, but then again, maybe there's that influence, and I bet Dan would even acknowledge that growing up amidst that sort of environment with a lot of creative, like intellectual type, funny people, probably had a big influence on everybody, not just the Jewish people growing up in St. Louis Park. Somehow you get that environment that somehow sparks this, whatever it is. I can't explain it. It's amazing.
Did you ever get into Trip Shakespeare at all?
Oh yeah, I love Trip Shakespeare.
That was
Yeah,
amazing.
I went to school in Chicago, so we went to Northwestern, and we would go down to Cabaret Metro and see Trip Shakespeare. And actually, I think a couple times we missed the opening act, which I later found out was the Jayhawks, which I should have been there to see the Jayhawks because I didn't know who they were back then. But
Again, Mark Perlman. St. Louis Park.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
and
right.
and Run Westy Run
Yes.
and Peter Himmelman and on.
The list goes on.
Yeah, so it's pretty amazing. And then Al Franken and the Coen Brothers, and Tom Friedman. I mean, what the heck?
Exactly.
Don't forget Mark Rosen.
Don't forget Mark Rosen is right.
Stop. Don't forget Bobby Schnitzer.
Thank you.
Don't forget Bobby
knew you were gonna say
Schnitzer.
that.
Don't. But
A lot of cool people.
Yes.
Definitely.
Done a lot of research. A couple things that stood out for me is you're a big baseball fan.
Yes.
Would that include your local team, or is this always been
the
a
Twins?
Yes.
I bleed Twins. I follow every game at least partially on radio, partially on TV, partly on my phone now, but I always know at any given time if the Twins are playing, I will probably be able to tell you what the score is. I'm more than a little obsessed.
That's all. We got one goddamn hit.
You can't say goddamn on the air.
Don't worry, nobody's listening anyway.
What a great season for them. Nobody would have expected
It was
that.
really a really fun season. It was
it's gonna
a
in the
nice
next couple of
turnaround.
years. Next couple of years are gonna be huge.
Yeah.
So it had to been a huge honor for you to be one of the showcased.
well, that was like one of the best nights of my life. I mean,
Tell
to
us
get
about
to-
that.
We basically just sort of entered a contest, I guess, through I can't remember what it was. Maybe it's through the radio station. But we got selected to play August 28th, 2013. I know the date at Target Field. My kids were there with me, and it was just such a thrill. I mean, they got their butts beat that game, actually, so they didn't play that well. But my son likes to remember, this is probably my favorite memory, other than just being there with my kids and having that opportunity to do that. But during warm-ups, Trevor Plouffe turned around and he was like dancing to our sound check, and then he turned around and gave me a huge thumbs up. So it was like, Plouffe likes me.
You've made it.
I've made it. I guess he has a band, or he plays guitar. I heard so
that's
he actually kind of knows a
great.
little about music. But
That's super cool.
so that was very cool, and yeah, it really truly was one of the highlights of my life to get to do that, and I hope maybe we'll get to do it again sometime. And I also got to throw out the first pitch. I won another contest.
Wow.
And so last year, it's on YouTube.
That's awesome.
We'll check
Dan
it out.
Israel throws out I threw a slow, hanging curveball for a strike.
Yes.
I love that.
Wasn't exactly a heater, but
Were you athletic?
Got it over the plate.
Were you athletic growing up?
I think if anyone growing up with me listening to this would have to set the record straight. No.
So the position you
Oh.
played was left out.
Left out. That was
that one.
often was my. Well, I wasn't terrible. I wasn't
Wrong one.
terrible. I was an okay hitter in baseball.
Mhm.
My fielding skills were probably a little less impressive. But my son is a really good young baseball player. So maybe
Sometimes it just
he got it from the other side. Who knows?
Yeah, it just takes another generation to go
it
through.
might. Yeah.
So Dan, do you find that you do your best songwriting when you're in a sexual relationship with somebody, or when you're not?
to be honest, I
So.
think that you tend to write more when you're alone.
Really?
Maybe.
Like,
Isolated.